Hey guys, this is Matt from MrMattChew.com, and today I'll be teaching how to make Ethernet cords. Things you'll need are, of course, Ethernet cord. I recommend using Cat 6 because it is faster, given you have the proper hardware. You will also need a set of pliers, wire stripper, crimping tool, and also RJ45 plugs for the end of the Ethernet cable. So these. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is cut your Cat 6 cable or Cat 5 cable to the length you want. In this case, I'm just pulling it out of the box. I'll cut it later, but for the first end, just to get started. First thing you'll want to do is take your wire stripper or wire cutter and unsheath the cables. As you can see, there are 4 separate cables inside. Rule of thumb is to take off about an inch of sheath. I like to use the lines on my fingers. It's roughly an inch. So yeah, measure an inch and strip the wire. There are special tools you can buy to make this a little bit easier, but I find the tools a little bit harder to use because sometimes they actually cut too far into the sheath and damage the internal cables. You can even use say a lighter to do this. I'll show you in another video. For now, I'll just try and do it with my pliers. Since it seems that my pliers are failing me, I'll go ahead and try to use my wire cutter. You'll want to be gentle when taking off the sheath, again, to avoid any damage to the inner cables. The harder time you have taking off the sheath, typically the safer you are, because you're not cutting in too deep and you don't risk damaging the inner wire. Yeah. There we go. And those to the side, throw it away. And now you're ready to separate the cables. You'll notice inside that there are 4 separate cables and a plastic divider. The plastic divider is meant to block interference in between the cables when it's in use. You will have to cut it off to go any further, as it'll interfere when you try to put the head in, the modular plug-in. So yeah, with either your wire cutter, scissors, or whatever you have, get as close as you can and snap off the plastic divider. And now you'll be left with 4 twisted cables, which should be orange, blue, green, and brown. What you want to do is untwist these, and as you untwist them, straighten them out. This will make putting the modular end a lot easier. Just stroke the cables like so. Work them so that they're straight. They don't have to be perfectly straight, but the straighter you can get them, the better. So now that you have all the cables straightened out, now you have to put them in the correct order. If you put the cables in the wrong order, of course the cable won't work and you'll have to start over. You can look online for diagrams of the colors if you don't want to remember them. But after a while you'll start to memorize the order they're supposed to be in, which is orange, white, solid orange, and this is the confusing part. You'll have a crossover on the colors. You'll have to go green, white. Have to sort of work around the center divider. Green, white, solid blue, blue, white, solid green, brown, white, and solid brown. It always puzzles me and makes me think at why they would make the green cross over with the blue. If it's always going to cross over, why not just make the cable in the correct order to begin with instead of having to cross the cable over later? You guys got me, because I've talked to many people about this and none of us can figure it out. Anyways, now that you have your cables in the right order, go ahead and start to sort of mesh them together like so. Making them mesh again as straight as you can. You'll want to work the cable like this so they'll start to, in a way, stick together and get closer together. The best thing to do is come up with your own technique, and as long as it makes it easier for you, that's all there is to it. You don't have to follow this step by step. After a while you come up with your own techniques that'll most likely be faster than mine, and you'll be able to make cables faster than me. The reason why I like to also work with Cat 6 is typically these wires are pretty stiff and really easy to work with, whereas cheaper cable, Cat 5, is very flimsy and it bends really easy and it takes a lot of effort to make them stick together. Again, the order for the colors for the wires are orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white,